In 1982, a Burger King executive named Don Smith walked into a meeting with his advertising team and dropped a document on the table. It was McDonald's internal memo, leaked somehow into Burger King's possession. The memo outlined McDonald's entire counter strategy to Burger King's aggressive new advertising campaign. Smith read it aloud, then looked up and said something that would define the next decade of fast food competition. "They're scared. Let's make them terrified." What followed wasn't just advertising rivalry. It was corporate warfare that would reshape how American brands competed, how advertising regulations were written, and how an entire generation ate lunch. The burger wars weren't inevitable. For most of their early history, McDonald's and Burger King operated in what industry analysts called peaceful coexistence. McDonald's, founded in 1940 and franchised by Ray Kroc starting in 1955, dominated through speed and consistency. Burger King, founded in 1954 as Instaburger King in Jacksonville, Florida, competed on flame broiling and customization. By the early 1970s, McDonald's held roughly 18% of the fast food market. Burger King had about 5%. Wendy's, founded in 1969, was barely a blip. The chains rarely mentioned each other publicly. Trade publications from the 1960s show executives from both companies speaking at the same industry conferences, even sharing insights on franchising models. This wasn't friendship exactly, but it was professionalism. McDonald's saw its real competition as home cooking, not other burger chains. Burger King positioned itself as the premium alternative for customers who wanted their burger their way, a slogan introduced in 1974. Then everything changed because of one hiring decision. In 1977, Burger King's parent company, Pillsbury, brought in Donald Smith as CEO of the burger chain. Smith had previously worked at McDonald's, rising to senior vice president before leaving in 1968. He knew how McDonald's thought, how they planned, and most importantly, how they competed, or rather, how they didn't compete. McDonald's at that time operated under an unwritten rule inherited from Ray Kroc. Never mention competitors by name. Competition was beneath them. They were McDonald's. They didn't acknowledge rivals any more than Coca-Cola would put Pepsi in their ads. Smith saw this as exploitable arrogance. Within months of taking over, Smith greenlit a series of taste tests comparing Burger King's Whopper to McDonald's Big Mac. The results, conducted by an independent research firm, showed a preference for the Whopper among participants. These weren't unusual findings. Every chain could commission research showing their product tested well. What was unusual was what Smith did next. He put those comparison results in a commercial. The ad aired in September 1982. It featured real customers, real reactions, and the explicit claim that Burger King's burger beat McDonald's in a blind taste test. The ad never showed McDonald's logo, but it didn't need to. Everyone knew the golden arches and everyone understood the target. The advertising industry called it comparative advertising, a practice that had been legally protected since a 1978 FTC ruling, but rarely used so aggressively between major brands. McDonald's legal department sent a letter within 48 hours. It wasn't quite a cease and desist, but it came close, questioning the methodology and accuracy of the taste tests. Burger King responded not with legal arguments, but with another commercial. This one was even more direct, showing a Burger King customer saying on camera, "I usually go to McDonald's, but this Whopper tastes better." The war was now public, loud, and impossible to ignore. McDonald's had built its empire on discipline, not drama. The company's culture, still deeply influenced by Ray Kroc even after his 1984 death, valued consistency over flash. Franchisees operated by detailed manuals covering everything from burger assembly to bathroom cleaning. Advertising focused on McDonald's own strengths, family-friendly characters like Ronald McDonald, predictable value, ubiquitous locations. Attack ads were considered crass, but by 1983, Burger King's market share had grown to 7.8%, while McDonald's had slipped slightly to 17.3%. The numbers looked small, but in an industry measured in billions, those shifts represented enormous sums. More worrying to McDonald's executives, Burger King's aggressive ads seemed to be working with younger consumers, the demographic both chains needed to capture for long-term growth. McDonald's response came in early 1984, but it wasn't a direct counterattack. Instead, they repositioned. A new ad campaign didn't mention Burger King at all. It simply showed McDonald's kitchens, employees, and quality control processes, ending with the tagline, "Nobody can do it like McDonald's can." The message was clear without being explicit. We don't need to attack competitors because we're simply better. Behind the scenes, however, McDonald's wasn't staying passive. Internal documents later revealed through litigation showed McDonald's launched what they internally called Operation Big Mac Defense. This involved accelerated franchising in markets where Burger King was expanding, aggressive lease negotiations to secure prime locations before Burger King could claim them, and substantial increases in advertising spending specifically in markets where Burger King had recently opened new stores. They weren't attacking in commercials, but they were absolutely attacking on the ground. Burger King noticed, and Burger King escalated. In January 1984, a third combatant entered the battlefield, and it wasn't who McDonald's or Burger King expected. Wendy's, the distant third-place competitor with about 4% market share, launched a commercial featuring an elderly woman named Clara Peller staring at a competitor's burger and shouting 3 words, "Where's the beef?" The ad never named McDonald's or Burger King, but the implication was universal. Other chains gave you mostly bun and little meat. Wendy's gave you substance. The phrase became an instant cultural phenomenon, repeated on late-night television, referenced by presidential candidate Walter Mondale during the 1984 Democratic primary, and printed on thousands of unlicensed t-shirts. For McDonald's and Burger King, the Wendy's campaign represented an uncomfortable truth. While they had been focused on battling each other, a smaller competitor had outflanked them both with creativity and humor. The ad spent a fraction of what McDonald's or Burger King allocated to advertising, yet it generated exponentially more media coverage. Burger King's response revealed how personal the competition had become. In late 1984, they released an ad called Battle of the Burgers, explicitly comparing the Whopper to both the Big Mac and Wendy's single. The ad used side-by-side visuals, weight measurements, and even nutritional breakdowns. McDonald's and Wendy's both threatened legal action. Burger King adjusted the ad slightly, removing some specific claims, but kept it running. McDonald's, meanwhile, doubled down on their family-friendly positioning. A 1985 campaign featured real families eating together at McDonald's, with voiceovers emphasizing tradition, trust, and togetherness. The subtext was unmistakable. Burger King might offer flame broiling, Wendy's might shout slogans, but McDonald's was where America actually ate. The strategy worked, but not completely. Between 1982 and 1987, McDonald's market share stabilized at around 17%, Burger King climbed to nearly 9%, and Wendy's reached 6%. The battle wasn't producing a clear victor, it was just producing more advertising. In 1986, the Burger Wars went international in the strangest possible way. Burger King operated franchises in Argentina. McDonald's operated franchises in the United Kingdom. When Argentina and Britain went to war over the Falkland Islands in 1982, both chains found themselves in an awkward position. Their franchisees were technically on opposite sides of a shooting war. Neither company made public statements during the conflict itself. But in 1986, a Burger King franchisee in Buenos Aires launched a local ad campaign with the tagline, "En las Malvinas, como en Burger King, todo es mejor," roughly translating to, "In the Malvinas," the Argentine name for the Falklands. As in Burger King, everything is better. The ad was quickly pulled after British tabloids reported on it, creating a minor diplomatic incident. Burger King's U.S. headquarters claimed the franchisee acted independently and didn't represent corporate views. McDonald's UK division ran newspaper ads the following week, emphasizing their British heritage and support for British service members. It wasn't officially part of the Burger Wars, but analysts at the time noted the speed and precision of McDonald's response. They were watching Burger King constantly, ready to capitalize on any misstep. By 1987, the advertising battle had reached what industry observers called mutually assured destruction. Both chains were spending hundreds of millions on marketing, most of it canceling each other out. Market shares remained largely static. Profits weren't growing proportionally to spending. Something had to change. McDonald's shifted strategy toward menu innovation. In 1986, they had tested a new chicken sandwich at select locations. In 1988, they rolled out Chicken McNuggets nationally, supported by massive advertising. The goal wasn't just to offer chicken, it was to expand the definition of McDonald's beyond burgers, making comparisons to the Whopper less relevant. Burger King responded with their own chicken offerings, plus pizza, plus salad bars, plus breakfast expansions. The race to diversify menus became its own form of competition. By 1990, a typical Burger King had more than 60 menu items. McDonald's had over 50. Wendy's, trying to keep pace, introduced a super bar with pasta, desserts, and Mexican food options. The irony wasn't lost on industry analysts. Both chains had built their success on simplicity: burgers, fries, drinks, done fast and cheap. Now they were becoming cafeterias. Franchisees at both chains began complaining. More menu items meant more complexity, slower service, higher food costs, and more training requirements. A 1990 survey of McDonald's franchisees leaked to the Wall Street Journal showed that 43% believed the company was expanding the menu too quickly in response to competitors rather than customer demand. Burger King franchisees filed similar complaints in trade publications. The Burger Wars, which started as advertising rivalry, had evolved into something more destructive, an arms race that was hurting both combatants. In 1991, something unusual happened. At an industry conference in Chicago, executives from McDonald's, Burger King, and Wendy's sat on a panel together discussing the future of fast food. The moderator asked directly whether the comparative advertising and aggressive competition of the past decade had been good for the industry. The McDonald's executive spoke first, saying the company had always focused on their own strengths rather than competitors' weaknesses. The Burger King executive, now a different person than Donald Smith, who had left in 1980, acknowledged that some ads may have crossed lines, but argued they reflected genuine product differences. The Wendy's executive said their approach had always been humor, not hostility. It sounded like a peace offering. Industry publications speculated that the chains might pull back from comparative advertising. Stock analysts predicted a détente that would reduce marketing costs and improve profitability. It lasted about 6 months. In early 1992, Burger King launched a campaign featuring the BKTV concept, a fictional television network that parodied McDonald's commercials without naming them directly, but with unmistakable visual references. McDonald's responded with increased spending on their Food, Folks, and Fun campaign, which positioned McDonald's as a cultural institution beyond mere food. Wendy's brought back "Where's the Beef?" for a nostalgic revival campaign. The war continued, just with slightly more polite language. By the mid-1990s, the Burger Wars had fundamentally changed American advertising. Comparative advertising, once rare and considered impolite, became standard practice across industries. Car companies compared fuel efficiency. Phone companies compared coverage maps. Detergent brands compared cleaning power. The precedent set by Burger King's 1982 taste test ads had normalized direct competition in ways that reshaped marketing regulation and practice. For McDonald's and Burger King themselves, the wars produced mixed results. McDonald's maintained market leadership, but never fully escaped the need to respond to competitor claims. abandoning some of Ray Kroc's original principles. Burger King gained market share and brand recognition, but at enormous cost, spending billions on advertising without ever overtaking McDonald's. Wendy's emerged as a legitimate third competitor by being clever rather than simply aggressive. The financial toll was significant. Between 1982 and 1995, McDonald's and Burger King combined spent an estimated $12 billion on advertising, much of it directly or indirectly targeting each other. Industry analysts have debated ever since whether that spending grew the overall fast food market or simply redistributed existing customers between chains. The data suggests both happened, but not proportionally to the investment. The human cost was less quantifiable, but real. Franchisees at both chains face pressure to constantly update, renovate, and expand to keep pace with corporate mandates driven by competitive fear. Small operators who had built their businesses around stable, simple menus found themselves squeezed by complexity and cost. By 2000, the average number of years a franchisee stayed in the McDonald's system had dropped from 15 years to 9. Burger King saw similar attrition. In 1997, an advertising executive who had worked on campaigns for both chains during the 1980s gave an interview to Adweek magazine. He was asked whether he thought the burger wars had been good for the industry. His answer was surprisingly candid. It was good for advertising agencies. I'm not sure it was good for anyone else. Today, McDonald's and Burger King still compete, but the intensity has diminished. Both chains face different challenges. Health-conscious consumers, fast casual competitors like Chipotle and Panera, delivery apps that commoditize restaurant choice, and labor shortages that make operational consistency harder. The wars never formally ended. They just became less relevant as the battlefield changed. What remains is a case study in how competition, taken to extremes, can become self-destructive even when both sides think they're winning. McDonald's and Burger King both survived the burger wars. Whether they won them depends on how you measure victory. Market share, brand recognition, profit margins, customer loyalty, or maybe the real question isn't who won, but whether a war was necessary at all. The burger wars didn't end with a treaty or a surrender. They ended with exhaustion, distraction, and the slow realization that fighting your closest competitor might matter less than adapting to what customers actually want. By the time both chains figured that out, they'd spent billions proving it. Don Smith, the Burger King executive who started the war in 1982 by deciding to attack McDonald's directly, left the company in 1980 before seeing the full consequences of the strategy he'd set in motion. He later worked for Wendy's, then various other restaurant chains before passing away in 1994. In interviews late in his career, he was asked whether he regretted the aggressive, comparative advertising approach. His answer was characteristically blunt. Regret? We got people talking about Burger King who hadn't thought about us in years. That was the point. Whether that was worth the cost is a question the fast food industry is still calculating.